Hey, what's up? How's everyone doing? I'm here bringing you more quarantine content because now that the gyms are closed, man, I suddenly have so much more free time like it's crazy. Fortunately, I like to be very productive with my time, and normally right after work, I either hit the weights or grind on YouTube. And since most of you guys are home on lockdown, I figure I might as well grind extra hard so you guys won't be bored out of your mind. Trust me, I know this is ultra depressing, and let me just tell you guys, that sun be hitting different when it's illegal. Hope all of this blows over soon, but today we're going to take a look at the last of the new Galaxy phones released earlier in March. This is the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, a device very similar to the regular S20 line, but has enough improvements and pro-ish features to make it stand out. So with this being priced in the ultra premium smartphone category, is the price justified? What's so different about the S20 Ultra as compared to the standard S20 that makes it such a huge markup? Are the monstrous cameras actually worth the hype? Well, we're about to find out, so let's roll that intro. Okay, so I'm going to make this unboxing extremely quick as largely it is exactly the same as the S20 unboxings, just scaled up for size. I've reviewed both the S20 and S20 Plus. You can click the card at the top right to check that out. But in essence, we get this black mysterious box and you get your standard culprits: warranty and information guide, a quick start guide, black 25-watt USB-C charger, USB-C to USB-C cable used to charge and sync your device, and your USB-C AKG headset. And that's all we get. Press the power button on the side and your new S20 Ultra is ready to start up. The thing about the Ultra, it's immediately apparent right from the second you hold it how premium this device is. It's got that ultra glossy back, feels substantially heavier than the S20 Plus, and once the display turns on, you'll indulge in all of that 6.9-inch AMOLED goodness. The phone not only feels the part, but looks the part, having approximately an 89.9 screen-to-body ratio that makes the glass look like it's almost floating when looking at it from the side. And of course, you can't miss that huge square array of all those insane cameras on the back. But we'll brush up on that in just a moment. Like I mentioned, a lot of the display technology is carried over from the S20 line, including the ultra-coveted 120Hz refresh rate, as well as doubling the touch refresh rate like the S20 and S20 Plus has, and is 5G compatible just like the S20s. But 5G is still in its infancy, and as of right now, isn't a huge selling point to me, but will be soon in the next year or two once it's rolled out and is more readily available to everyone. The good thing is, the Ultra is compatible with both mmWave technology and sub-6 GHz bands. Sub-6, not to be confused with Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat now, gives you more range, while mmWave is much faster, only if almost directly in the field of view of a nearby node. Samsung attached a bougie price tag to this bougie phone, coming in at $13.99. I'm not talking $13.99, I'm talking $1,399 for the base 128GB model, or $1,599 if you opt for more storage with the 512GB variant. The S20 Ultra is priced way higher than what one should pay for a damn phone. If I'm paying this much, I better have the direct line for God, for real. If purchased from Samsung though, as of now, you're only limited to two colors, being Cosmic Black, which is the one we have here, and Cosmic Gray. Just like the S20 line, the Ultra features the same beautiful and crisp display, only coming in at a massive 6.9 inches as compared to the 6.7 inches of the S20 Plus. It's still going to be that ultra pristine dynamic AMOLED display. This display features Gorilla Glass 6, so it should be pretty resistant to minor drops, and has this really stealthy aluminum frame. The screen comes in at a resolution of 1440 by 3200 pixels, good for 511 pixels per inch, and has a 20:9 ratio. The phone weighs in at a pretty hefty 222 grams, as compared to the 188 grams for the S20 Plus. Truth be told, a lot of that weight is derived from the monster battery found inside. The official measurement for the physical battery is 5,000 milliamp hours, one of the biggest batteries I've ever seen on a smartphone, and there's a reason why it was the winner for my 2020 battery drain test for the newest Galaxy line. It's huge, but fair warning, the 120Hz refresh rate I told you about is a huge battery killer. It's like a leech, man, just like your ex was on your wallet, my dude. The 120Hz refresh rate is super fluid. It's truly mesmerizing and is impossible to show how great and fluid it looks on this 30 frame per second YouTube video, but take my word for it. It's amazing, and I wish this came standard on all premium smartphones on the market. Only downside is your resolution is limited to the FHD setting at 120Hz. If you want a sharper display, you can crank it up to the QHD setting, but your refresh rate will be bumped back down to 60Hz. Internally, the chipset we have is the Qualcomm Snapdragon 865 that is a 7nm design, but only if you purchase it in the US. Big sheesh, I know. Globally, you get the wimpier Exynos 990. That's a big borefest, I know, and is super inferior to the almighty Snapdragon. In terms of RAM, you get 12 gigs, you heard me right, but if you pick up the variant with 512 gigabytes of storage, that RAM is then cranked up even more to 16 gigabytes, more than some budget laptops out on the market. But the main selling point of this phone, and arguably the sole feature that makes this phone ultra premium, has to be the cameras. I mean, when this phone was introduced at Samsung's Unpacked 2020 event, much time was spent specifically highlighting the camera features and hardware. On paper, the Ultra looks like the holy grail of what smartphone cameras should look like. The front-facing selfie camera is of superb quality, coming in at a super impressive 40 megapixels. That's an f2.2 lens, and by far is one of, if not the best selfie camera currently in the game. It seems most tech companies neglect the front camera in favor of the rear cameras, but the selfie camera needs some love too, man. I have no complaints here, and with a 40 megapixel sensor, selfies come out extremely crisp and vivid and catch every detail. I guess it's a double-edged sword if you have Mount Everest on your forehead or another huge zit on your nose. Trust me, it will capture every detail of said pimple. Now looking at the back, and again on paper looks very promising. You'll see this massive square-shaped bump that takes a good portion of the upper left part of the phone. Within, we have an unheard of 108 megapixel f1.8 main camera, a 48 megapixel f3.5 telephoto lens, a 12 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide lens, and a time of flight camera. Monster specs, but it gets better. The Ultra, just like the other S20s, have optical image stabilization on their main and telephoto lenses. This is super handy if you plan to record a lot on your phone, and so that it doesn't look like you have arthritis with them shaky clips. It does support 8K video at 24 frames per second, but the Ultra sees bigger improvements in other areas over the standard S20s, hence the Ultra moniker. The Ultra has 10 times optical zoom support and a staggering 100 times digital zoom. 100 times. Just imagine going to the anthill over by the entrance of your neighborhood and just observing the ants. I wonder if they're on quarantine too, because I strangely haven't seen a single one. Of course, the 100 times zoom uses the optics plus software to make it happen, so don't expect ultra clear resolution. As a matter of fact, it looks extremely pixelated, but is cool to have nonetheless. The actual photographs the phone takes are just remarkable. I noticed colors are more vivid than on the iPhone cameras. I mean, just take a look at some of these greens from some of these trees here. And of course, when zooming into pictures once they've been taken on your camera roll, it's just so hard to pinpoint any pixels at all. My only concern is that at times shadows seem to be crushed and ends up looking like a shadowy mess. It's like shadows sneak up on the lens and the lens don't know how to interpret them and just crush them out, and highlights sometimes look blown out, especially when having images where your subject goes from dark and shadowy to bright and sunny right next to each other. Nonetheless, I think this is something small that I can live with and will probably get corrected next gen, but it's not something I would say is a turnoff for the phone. It's just a minor quirk. Overall, the software here works exceptionally well with the physical hardware to make this one of the funnest cameras I've ever used aside from my mirrorless Sony camera. I'm considering doing a head-to-head showdown of the capabilities of the S20 Ultra versus my mirrorless camera. If you'd like to see that video so I can showcase more of the camera in depth, let me know in the comments below. Other than that, the bigger size, the cameras, the bigger battery, it's more of the S20 Plus more than anything. So what takeaway can we get from this smartphone? For one, that price has to come down. $1,500 plus after tax for the base model is just ridiculous. It's even more than Apple's base iPhone 11 Pro Max, but it seems we've been headed down this road for quite a while, and sadly, companies will continue to raise prices and see how much consumers are willing to pay. Obviously, we're not forced to buy the Ultra, we have the cheaper S20, but darn it, I want all those juicy features and the best of the best so I can stunt. But hey, for what it's worth, the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra 5G is a formidable phone for 2020 and is definitely the one to beat. Of course, it's only April, so we will have the rest of the year to see what other smartphones have to offer. For now, the Ultra is extremely snappy with monster specs, especially those 12GB of RAM. If in the US, the Snapdragon 865 is phenomenal and has never shown me signs of underperforming. The display is one of the best in the markets, and being a huge Apple sheep, I have to give it up to Samsung. The displays look way better to me. The 120Hz refresh rate is just a cherry on top if you're willing to sacrifice heavy on battery life. As far as cameras, I think on paper they're the best of the best, but Samsung still has minor flaws to iron out. They are minor, which is a good thing, like the blowout highlights and shadows sometimes overtaking the overall lighting in very specific scenarios. But to be completely honest, cameras are super subjective anyway. Some people like iPhone cameras and will defend them until the day they die. Others like the Google Pixel cameras. I have yet to meet a single human being though that prefers the Google camera, but hey, I heard they exist, but give it to Samsung. They are setting a precedent on how smartphone cameras should be. I have no doubt next generation of Samsung phones will feature the best cameras found on any smartphone up to that point. But if cameras aren't even important to you, I would say just skip the Ultra and go for the S20. All you're missing out on is a bigger size and all of those juicy sensors with all of those megapixels. Well guys, that's been it. Let me know what you think. Are you an Android lover? What do you think about the Ultra versus the regular S20s? Is the Ultra on your wish list? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll be back with some more Samsung content, specifically looking at some accessories for your Ultra, so make sure to stay tuned and ring that bell. So that's been it for me guys. Catch you all real soon.